Welcome to the Horsemanship and Practice podcast. The podcast where I get to talk to equine professionals, pick their brains and satisfy my curiosity. I'm your host Damien McNichol, and in this episode my guest is Holly Barber. Holly is a horse trainer and riding instructor who specialises in working equitation. She has represented Great Britain 15 times, became Advanced National Champion in 2019 and, riding her Lusitano Exparta, finished 6th in the world in the 2018 Working Equitation World Championships. She is also a Level 4 trainer and national judge with the Association for British Working Equitation and has been competing internationally since she was 13 years old. In this conversation, we talk about working equitation, what the sport involves, and how Holly thinks about training, teaching, and competing at the highest level. I hope you enjoy the show. Okay, Holly, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So, my knowledge of you is from seeing you in relation to working equitation, and I believe you've got a classical school.
Yeah.
At home.
It used to be a school, a riding school, but it isn't anymore. So it's just a training yard now.
Okay. And in working equitation, you've competed nationally for GB as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I've competed internationally for Team GB 15 times.
Okay.
As a junior and a senior. So when working equitation was first introduced to the UK, I was part of the GB team that first sort of started when we didn't really have a lot of clue about it all.
Yeah.
And just sort of seen it grow. And I was a teenager, so I did junior classes, and I was also allowed to do the senior classes because there wasn't very many of us. So I did. I went in both, and that was allowed at that time. So I've grown up with it since a teenager.
Amazing. So how did that come about then? Because it's still relatively niche. It's definitely getting a bit of a following, but
yeah. So working equitation was introduced to the UK by a lady called Shireen Ramatala, and she introduced myself and my mum to Lusitano horses, the indigenous breed of Portugal. And she imported Lusitanos from Portugal to the UK, and she got involved in working equitation because it originated in sort of Portugal, Spain, Italy. And she got involved in that and got us involved with that, with the Lusitanos. So we started doing it, and there wasn't very many people that knew about it or were importing Lusitanos in the UK or anything. So it was quite small, grew a little bit, and then there was a changeover of association. So Shireen was running the governing body in the UK, and she gave it up in 2013, and it was taken over by Georgia Schoen, and she's been running the sport for the last 12 years, and it's she's put a lot more focus on grassroots levels, so the lower levels, and getting more people in it, and it's slowly getting there. We've had a much more, it's grown a lot more recently with things like instructors courses. So we do a lot of courses trying to get instructors to learn more about it so that they can spread the word, and that's sort of been the biggest thing to get it out around the UK a lot more, is having a lot more instructors. So it's not just a handful of us trying to sort of run around the country and say, look at this sport, isn't it amazing?
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, but one of the nice things about it still being small is it's like got a real family community about it. Like we all know each other that compete in working equitation. We're all rooting for each other. When we have new people come in, we all welcome everyone. It's a really lovely community within the sport, and I think that's one of the nice things about it not being huge. I think the bigger it gets, you lose some of that a little. We try not to, but I think it's one of those things, with the growth of sport.
it's kind of an inevitability, isn't it? But if you
Yeah.
can, I suppose you run clinics and things like that yourself, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, I do all over the country. I do clinics and demos and yeah, everything.
So I think as long as you can keep it kind of feeling quite fraternal within your own classes and your own demonstrations and your own competitions that you're at, it helps kind of keep that alive because
Yeah,
you're,
absolutely. And,
yeah,
all my clients and friends and everything, we all work hard to keep that feeling within the sport. So that's really nice, I think, for new people joining.
yeah. Well, this is actually a bit of a this whole podcast idea is a bit of a selfish endeavor for myself to get to speak to people that I wouldn't normally have an excuse to speak to, but because working equitation really appeals to me because it's kind of got a little bit of everything, doesn't it? You've got
Yeah,
it comes from the classical schools, which I'm a big fan of, and you've got the correct biomechanics and the development and the movement, and you've got the practicality elements of dealing with some obstacles. And I think you've even got some cattle classes at the higher levels as well.
yeah,
So it kind of has that real all-rounder horse type appeal. You don't
yeah.
just have a dressage horse that can't go out for a hack, or
No,
your horse really has to be able to kind of
absolutely.
turn its hand to everything. So where does it start then? How does training a horse to the top level look? What does it look like? I
um,
know it's a toughie.
how long have we got?
As long as you
um,
need.
so just like you said, it creates a really all-round horse. And I use the obstacles a lot for training. So all the horses that come to me for training, whether they're interested in doing working equitation or not, the obstacles are a really sort of good part of training, I feel. Because I mean, anyone that's had a go at working equitation, people see it and they often see the speed phase of
Hmm.
working equitation. So they see us all bombing around these obstacles, which is the most fun, but it makes it like look a little bit comparable to like handy pony, or that's what we get a
Yeah.
lot of. And we say, okay, come and try it first, and then tell us if it's still what you think it is, because it's technically very, very difficult, the ease of handling and everything. But it's a good challenge. And one of the common things, so when I'm teaching quite a lot, and one of the so our when our school was still a riding school, my mum had rules of the school, classical principles, and one of them is any direction easily. So you should be able to go forward, stop, backwards, sideways very easily. And when I'm going out teaching, it's quite common that that isn't the case, that, you know, horses can go and stop, but they're not taught rein back or sideways off the leg or anything like that as a basic thing. Like all my young horses know those things at a young age. Once you're past that initial part of training, youngsters ridden wise, they all learn things like that fairly early on, and it's so important, I think, for having an enjoyable horse to ride, that they do those things well, and then they can move on to do anything. If they can do those things, anything is within their reach
Right.
to achieve. But if they don't have those things, then you're very limited with the training, I believe.
Yeah, I come across that a lot as well because, as part of like my background's based mostly in starting young horses and problem solving and stuff like that. But I think dressage tests have a little bit to blame for it because people think we don't need to worry about leg yield until you're at this stage, and really it's like
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
it doesn't have to be a perfect leg yield, but they should be able to yield away from the leg. And I learned along the way that I don't trust horses that can't back up freely.
No,
You can find a real kind of brace in them, and they can really struggle with that. And just having
yeah,
a horse being able to walk and stop and back up, it just makes them much more usable
yeah.
and kind of easy to work with. Yeah.
Well, Rainback, you don't see Rainback in dressage. I mean, I can't think of the level that they have Rainback in the dressage test. It's
It's
certainly
only
not in.
5 steps or something like that as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
but
really small.
it's it's not in the lowest. Whereas in our lowest levels of working equitation, you have Rainback in the test, and you're required to move sideways. Um, to do some of the obstacles. So, but yes, I agree with you, for dressage, like, oh, we just need to walk, trot and canter a circle. But if you can rein back and you can do sideways off the leg, all of those things are going to improve. We know that the leg yield improves suppleness through the body and balance and everything. So it should be taught much before you're wanting to go in at elementary, and do a leg yield. Surely, it improves everything.
Yeah, I would definitely. Well, it just makes them. It shows they understand the aids without the technicalities of the movement being absolutely perfect. It
Yeah,
shows
sure.
that
No, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you put
it
your
can be
leg on.
guided. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have a young horse, and obviously you get them forward. They can move backwards. They can move off either of the legs. Is your concentration then in the first couple of years to get them competition ready, or is it more about kind of just getting them hacking and thinking forward? And
Yeah, I mean, forward calm straight, that's the initial sort of thing. And
okay, I
then
like that forward calm straight.
forward calm straight. That's the sort of initial thing. And then yeah, hacking's really important. And just seeing different things. And if we not necessarily competing, but yeah, I mean, I take young horses out competing. It very much depends on the horses themselves. But yeah, it depends on their character really. With regards to competing and what the owner wants and things like that. But whether they compete or not, the obstacles are really nice for because I don't think working equitation, when I'm doing obstacles with horses, I don't think of it as a desensitization thing. I don't believe it is that. When you're doing the obstacles, it's like trust exercises. So, for example, the bridge is a classic one, for asking the horse to walk over the bridge, and it looks weird and it sounds weird and all those things. Does the horse trust you when you say you can go walk over that? And they say, "Are you sure?" And you say, "Yes." And they do, or they don't. And I don't, because if you think when we go to competitions, it's different obstacles and stuff. And people do things like, well, the bridge in competition is black, so I will paint my bridge black. But
It's the
you shouldn't
purpose of
need
the
to do that, because if you say that's fine for you to go on, the horse should trust you that they will, rather than you've walked them over 10 black bridges so they're desensitized to bridges. That's not the thing with it. So I'm quite strong with that, and I believe sort of doing the obstacles with, as I say, as they're more trust exercises, and you build up that trust doing the obstacles, and within their training, and then that's a great thing to have when you want to go hacking, when you want to, if you want to go to a competition, if you want to go arena hire and jumping or anything. If your horse trusts you, and then in turn you trust them to take them inside new environments like that, I think is really important.
I think
And good.
that's I think that's a really good point. I think people I think a lot of people ask questions about how they want to build a bond and they want their horse to trust them, and that certainly comes up a lot amongst my own clients. And it's like, how do you build trust with a horse? And it's like, it's exactly that, isn't it? It's time and time again showing them that they can trust your leg and you're not going to put them in danger, and they can do something, and that builds over time.
Yeah, certainly. You have to show that they can trust you.
Yeah,
But the obstacles are a great way of achieving that.
of
If
course,
you
yeah.
if you go about them in the right way, the gate is a classic example of that sort of thing. So the gate, anyone that's had lessons with me, they know I hate teaching the gate. Everyone's like, I can do a gate hacking, and they go and do it, and I go, yes, but you don't just open it,
Swing it
shift
open.
it open, walk through. There's a lot more to it than that. But that one is a classic one because the amount of times you see, because you have to keep hold of the gate for the duration. So you go up to it, you open it, you go through it, and you shut it without letting go. So you have to keep contact with the gate all through this. So you imagine you have to, and the bigger the horse, the harder it is. They have to be so responsive to your aids and say, you're going to back up a step here, move your shoulders there, your back end there, back up, all of this. There's a lot of movements inside that. And if the horse isn't responsive to that, they are going to hit the gate.
And
And
then you've
when they
lost a bit
hit
of
the gate,
trust.
they go, whoa. And then they're like, you hit me with the gate. And then you've caused a massive problem because then they don't trust. That's classic that that someone will go, I do gates out hacking, and they'll go up to it and they open it and they pull it towards the horse, and the horse goes, whoa, what the hell? And then they're frightened of it, or they go through, they haven't got control of the horse's steps, so they end up hitting it with the gate. And that one is a real classic one where you have to have trained the horse that they move easily off your aids so that you don't have that sort of thing. They're not if you hit them with the gate, they're not going to trust you. Whereas if you've taught them well that they move sideways, forwards, backwards, etc., the gate isn't that hard. But you have to have that real control over where the horse's body is, the steps and everything to be able to do
And I
that.
suppose it can't be on autopilot either, because you might need to make an adjustment.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm certainly guilty of that, where your horse knows how to do a gait one way,
Yes.
and they almost take over in that moment. And then as soon as you try to get it interrupted and go, you're gonna smack your arse on the post, then they get all upset.
Yeah.
Because you've interrupted
Yeah.
So
I mean,
they have to know the job, but at the same time, not get too far ahead of you.
No, quite. I mean, like my competition horse, he can do the gate with his eyes shut, and we have it's quite nice with the gate in the working, it's a standalone one, so it's not like your yard gate or your gate out hacking, which it only goes one way sort of thing. So that you've got the option that you can push or pull it. So that requires you to move the horse around in a different way. And I have a preference for pulling the gates towards me. So that involves you go up to it, you halt next to it, parallel with it. And then when you lift the latch, you do a turn on the forehand to the bum goes away and you open the gate. So my competition horse, he knows that, and he will often be ready to do that before I've given the aid. So I have to be like, no. And then sometimes I'll do push. So when you do the push gate, you halt the same, but you back up, push the gate open and follow it through. And we mix it up a little bit. You can also do the gate backwards. So there's 4 different ways of doing the standalone gate. And if you can do all of them, then you've really got that control and the horse is waiting for what age you're going to give them.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Kind of think of. And does a competition stipulate which way you have to do it ever, or is it always entirely your choice?
So whether you pull or push it is your choice, whether it's forwards or backwards. So we only do backwards at the higher levels. And that's dictated with where the number is on it'll be either one side of the gate or the other, will dictate that. But it's up to you whether you pull or push. It'll be a personal preference. And and the way that you can make it look the best, because it's so the obstacle phase, you have the ease of handling phase, and that is what we're looking for. Each obstacle is the ease of which you handle each obstacle, and there's got to be a certain amount of fluidity going on through the gate So not only have you got to move different parts of the horse at different times, you've got to keep some fluidity to that, and keep it moving. So they really have to be on the mark with that sort of thing.
So I've got a question about breeds in regards to that, because my own horse, he's a PRE, and from the very first ride, he was very movable.
Yes.
So like very fluid, like quite go-y. You like never did anything bad particularly, but definitely quite willing to move his feet. And I found that training all those movements has been relatively easy because of that. I've definitely ridden some warm bloody type horses that don't have anywhere near that same feeling. So do you feel, obviously the Lusitano is particularly well suited to that event, but do people with warm bloods and the like have a similar chance of being competitive in it, or is it quite breed specific, do you think, for those reasons?
I mean, there's no doubt about it that the Lusitanos excel at it. They are agile, sharp, very movable. All of their best attributes are ideally suited to working equitation. But a lot of it is training. So I compete a cob for one of my clients, because we, when we're teaching working equitation, not only do I believe just doing it is good for your own training, good for the horse, but we have a lot of, it is for any breed, and it is mostly training, just because the Lusitanos excel at it, and they make it a bit easier for us, if you like, in some ways.
Yeah.
Not in every way. I always say, so I have this cob that I ride, and him and my current competition horse couldn't be more polar opposite from each other, but they have strengths and weaknesses. The cob, I mean, he's a wonderful lad. He has a fantastic nature. He takes everything in his stride. He's not as agile as the Lusitano, but he's very, like, he'll go in there and he's like, yeah, got this, and then he's like, you've got to do the rest, love.
Yeah.
But it's training, really. You can still do well, I believe, on any horse, and I think that's the case with maybe not all disciplines, but a lot of disciplines. I think it's either easier or harder depending on the type of horse that you have. But you should be able to do anything with your horse. You just have to play to its strengths, and and you just work out what their strengths and weaknesses are. Solomon, the cob, canter's not his best pace. Working equitation is a lot of canter. We're working on it, but he's 5 years old. And if I have to carry him a bit sometimes in the canter, that's fine for now. But I know that when he goes in the arena, he's not going to be hot. He's not going to be silly. He's going to be pretty solid. And then between us, I've got to try and make it look as elegant as possible, carry him a little bit in the canter for now, and we'll get there. The
difference in showmanship and training, isn't it? It's you kind of have to carry them sometimes as well.
Yeah. But he's a young horse, but it's hard. Some aspects are harder for him. Like that agility, that's harder for him. But as I say, he's a solid lad. He's not the atmosphere doesn't get to him. He's not gonna get hot about music or things like that. That's a nice thing. Whereas on my Iberian horse, it's very sensitive, quite hot and sharp. I have to manage that inside. Now he's older and he's at the high levels. We've done training and everything. That's a lot better. But particularly in the early days, coming in, to the competition. He's great with the obstacles and everything, but everything, it's lights them up a bit. It's a hot horse. He's he that is what he is. He's still a good boy, but
Yeah.
it's just managing that a little bit.
So I think that's definitely something that I've discovered with my own horse. Is like he's very good. He wants to do the right thing. He's
Yeah.
almost like they're almost like a working dog, aren't they?
Yeah, they are totally
But
like collies.
but keeping their head in the right space is such a challenge.
Yeah.
You have to really understand what it is you want them to do. And like my horse in particular, Cantor, has always been very excited about it.
Yeah.
And he's quite long, which I know isn't typical of the breed. So he gets quite downhill quite quickly and kind of get running away.
Yeah.
So you're constantly trying to bring him back. But as soon as you start doing some counter transitions, it's like again they're that step ahead of you and they're leaping into it. And it's just like I have to do maybe 2 counter transitions and then go and do something else for 10 minutes and then kind of come back. To just keeping his head in the right space is such a challenge. And I'm sure Lusitanos are very similar because they've kind of got that bullfighting type.
Oh yeah, they're so switched on. You have to keep their brains engaged, doing things to keep their brains engaged, because if not, they're going to create their own interesting things. But that's lovely, that they are.
Oh, it's
really
so nice to work with. Because they're willing, aren't they?
They're like, what's that? What's next? Where, what are we doing? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? Like, well, no, wait.
Yeah, that's a nice horse to work with, isn't it? But I don't think you wouldn't necessarily put anybody on them until they're very well broke. With that in mind, so I get a lot of, just the algorithms feeds me a lot of stuff from Spain and Portugal and stuff like that. And what's really stand out is the children learn on fully broke, bomb-proof horses that can do all the things. And so from day one, they learn how to ride really well. They don't kick, they don't pull, they learn how to sit. And I think it's such a cultural difference.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's good, bad, and ugly there as well. I'm not pretending for a moment there isn't. But it'll be so nice to kind of see that here. But I think there's a real lack of very well educated horses here for children to learn on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just interested when I thought you had a school, were you teaching on kind of finished horses, for want of a better word?
Yes. It was. We did, because we specialised obviously in Iberian horses. But they weren't all Iberians, but they were under more of a classical principles. But it wasn't your standard riding school, if you like, but then, we did have children, we did have beginners, but not too many.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. It is lovely when you see kids on in Portugal and stuff, and you see them on stallions. They're all stallions out there, and they're doing piaffe and passage and everything. That is, it is lovely. But I don't know if it's just it's a lot of culture out there, that they're getting these wonderful schoolmasters to ride. But I mean, riding schools are a dying breed in the UK. I mean, we had a riding school, but the hoops you have to jump through and the just trying to make it affordable is just unreal.
It really is. Yeah,
it is. It's riding schools are brilliant for children to learn to go and ride, and they do their best. The hoops you have to jump through. I mean, when I learnt to ride, we did all things like you'd jump on the horse's bareback in a head collar and, all those wonderful things without stirrups, without reins. You're not allowed to do that anymore. Because if a child falls off because they didn't have stirrups, and
Yeah.
you lose a lot of the brilliant things just learning how to ride because you're not allowed to do a lot of the things that we grew up doing at riding schools on the horses. I mean, I know I'm very fortunate that I grew up. My mum built our riding school and everything, and I grew up with schoolmasters and all that sort of thing. So I was very, very lucky to have that sort of thing. And obviously, not everyone is that lucky. But it's harder and harder for riding schools to be making those sort of riders when the things that sort of made us we're not allowed to do anymore.
Yeah, it's really crazy to think, because I think back of how I learned to ride, and I learned to ride in a riding school as well, and I think it was £6, and you disappeared for the day up there, and there were certainly no worries about you riding without stirrups or a saddle. In fact, they used to just give us bareback lessons, and you just
Yeah.
pray and you weren't putting something with a big spiny back, and but that is what, it wasn't the sort of riding school where you were taught technicalities. You learned to stay on and go and sort of be effective.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you do. I don't know what the answer is, because there's such a kind of, is it a fear of being sued? Is it, I suppose, concerns over welfare for the animals.
Health and safety, welfare, obviously, wonderful. Great. We need that, but is it a little bit too far some of the time? But I think what ends up happening is people have to get they have to get their own horses. But where are they learning to look after these horses and learning how to ride? If they haven't got riding school, if they're having to do that, that's also a bit of a health and safety and a welfare thing.
Absolutely. It's so difficult, because I talked before about the kind of social license to operate and horse riding, especially with the likes of the Charlotte Desjardins incident, and obviously racing gets quite a lot of flack, and there's quite a few things in the spotlight at the top levels that are kind of rightly so being shone upon, but we're privileged to be doing it, and we have to make sure that we're responsible in what we do with these horses and how we take care of them, how we train them, how we compete them. But you also have to be realistic about what they are in terms of how big and how strong, and what you sometimes might need to do to stay safe. And it's just so confusing, and I think it has to be looked upon favourably by the wider public, the wider non-horsey public. But at the same time, the horses were still working in the railway yards in the 1960s. I think we can't forget how much we used to use these animals and how much they are part of us as much as we are of them,
Absolutely.
And that connection over thousands and thousands of years, and they like a job and they like to be working, and I can kind of wrap myself in circles around how to think about it. But I'd love to know your opinions on what horse culture could be doing in general to win the trust of the wider public.
I think a lot of I think it's going in a lot of things are going in a good direction. But yeah, sometimes there is, you don't want to go too far. Like horses are horses. Sometimes you have to be stronger with them. But than others, but it's so hard when you haven't trying to give that education to people so that you don't when I have to be strong with a horse, and I'm not talking beating them, anything like that, but if you have to be stronger with a horse, it's generally because they've been mismanaged with a person, something's happened or whatever. So it's trying to get that education sort of out there so that you don't get to those points, because it isn't necessary to get to so that you're having to be strong with the horses a lot of the time, but having that education there. But I think in recent years with natural horsemanship and stuff being a lot more popular and getting out there, I think that's a very good thing, that people are able to learn more that side of things, so that they're getting a better start with the horses, because that's the thing, isn't it? The start and how they handle on the ground to start with, and then getting on board. So I think those sorts of things are really good. It's just a bit of a minefield, really, isn't it? That there's
It's so
just so
difficult, yeah.
many. So who do you trust? Who do you go with? If you
Well, I
don't
mean,
know,
the internet is full of gurus
yeah,
and a million different approaches, and for well, even for myself, for any of us seeking out new information, it's how do you make sure that what they're saying is reliable and trustworthy and something you should follow? Because I think there's certainly some people out there that people follow and it lands them in more trouble
yes,
than
yeah,
it saves, And I think again that's that in-person contact with someone experienced who knows what they're doing at a riding school at a young age, so you learn how a horse should lead and everything else. But
yeah,
it's
yeah. Yeah, it's so hard, isn't it? But at least, I mean, it is hard with the social media and everything. It's great for a lot of things. There's so much more that you can see, and all these programs. So even if you don't have someone out in person, you can go programs. That's there's so many things. But I think as well, like, at least, I mean, it's hard, isn't it? Because I was going to say, like, seeing how people, when they're putting videos and things on social media, you're able to see them doing things with their horses. But you often only see like the good bits. But I think, if you look closely enough at how the videos that they're putting up of them riding their horses or interacting with them, it shows a lot, I think. You can see even when you're only getting to see the good bits, sort of
yeah,
thing. That is something, I guess.
I think part of the problem now is all the platforms kind of push this short video format, so it doesn't give any room for anything but that perfect clip, because that's
Yeah.
the thing. Obviously, yourself, you're trying to run a business, you got to pick up things that people are going to pay attention to
Yeah.
and grasp onto. You can't put up an hour long clip of you training a horse because
No.
it just doesn't gain any traction. You're wasting your time, aren't you?
No. But
Um,
then, if you can get those short ones, then, you're getting people interested. So then they look into you a bit more, and then they might look at the longer formats. It's getting that sort of hook, isn't it? Um, and then, you know, being able to show a little bit more beyond that, I think.
so how are you going down that route at all? Have you got any online kind of offerings?
I'm rubbish. I'm really rubbish at that. I do put bits up. I'm more reliant on my partner Freddy for that sort of thing. He does a lot more on the social media front. So I'm a bit more reliant on him. I'm rubbish.
it's a real struggle, isn't it? Because
Mm.
it could be a full-time job in itself,
It
doing
is,
the
yeah.
social media side of things. And when you're busy just trying to fulfill your lessons and ride the horses you get in for training,
Yeah.
you have to remember, oh, I need to put up that tripod and set the
Yeah,
camera up
and
and
video
film
and
this, and then it
edit
doesn't go
it.
right when you're trying to do the video. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, who's
Yeah.
got time for that?
I know it is really hard. And I always sort of, I always think I was like, who wants to watch me do my everyday stuff? Like it's, it's like the same thing sort of day in, day out for you. It's not, because it's horses, so it's different every day. But it just sort of, it's the same sort of things. And I always think no one's interested in what I'm doing every day.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. But I know I've put up some stuff on social media that I think, oh, this would be great, and you get no traction whatsoever.
No.
But you put up a nice picture of a horse that's just arrived, and that gets loads of traction.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like there's no rhyme or reason to it. So your time's split between teaching and training.
Yeah. So I've got the training yard with my mum. So mornings are spent doing the yard and working my horses and any training horses that are in.
How many is
And
that? How many are you talking in the morning then?
varies. I'll probably have sort of about half a dozen to do in the morning.
Okay.
And then I freelance in the afternoons. I go out and teach. And then
Do you
weekends.
have someone tacking up horses for you and stuff then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise I wouldn't get them all done.
That's what I was gonna say. 6 in the morning's good going, but you're hustling like.
Yeah. It's sometimes more, sometimes less, depends on what we're doing. But yeah,
Yeah.
about that.
So you're kinda on one.
Yeah.
Yeah, on to the next
Yeah,
go.
I've got a really lovely groom. She's great. So
Good
she
help's
sort of
hard to
turns,
find, isn't
it's
it?
like a one in, one out. Is that
Yeah.
right? I'm ready for the next one.
And so then for the afternoon, you normally just travel locally or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, locally. I've got my local clients. And then weekends I'm either away competing, training myself, or I'm doing clinics or shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a 7-day-a-week endeavor. You don't.
During the summer it is.
Yeah.
Rest in the winter. Don't go
So
away.
is that
Go away as much in the winter.
is a competition calendar summer months then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of March to October.
Okay. One of my clients actually finished second to you not very long ago. Do you know
Yeah.
Kit? Do you know Kit Stringer?
Yeah. I know Kate really well. Yeah. Yeah, she's great. She put me in the speed. That was when I was riding the Cobb Solomon, and she had me in the speed. I have to work quite hard to get a good speed round.
Oh, good. Yeah, she mentioned that you had a bit of a close competition.
Yeah.
So who do you train with then, or are you pretty much sort of coaching yourself at this point, or do you go to Spain ever, or Portugal, or?
Not so much. I've had various sort of Portuguese trainers and stuff over the years, but I've always had my mum. My mum's a instructor. She has been all her life, so we work together quite well. She can be on the ground. She can stop me getting into bad habits, and just we sort of bounce off each other a little bit and just talking about stuff whilst I'm schooling, which is really nice, obviously, to have that at home. And I've got Freddy as well, so we can all work together improving the horses. But I've just come back, so this weekend gone I just had team training, so we've got world championships this year. And our team trainer is Liz DeGeertis. I don't think I've said her last name properly, but she's a dressage rider. Because I mean, for the working ec, for the high level, we often say it's dressage round obstacles. Obviously, the speed and the cattle part aren't so much, but you need to have the dressage and the ease of handling. That needs to be really good to, as well, to be as efficient and accurate for the speed as well. It's not just about going fast,
Well, you're doing multiple flying changes, high level of collection, half pass in canter over a pole, canter and 2 strides through a gate before halting to close it. It's like unbelievably high level and technical at the top level. So, what do you find the most difficult? Is there one thing that you go like you've always struggled with, or does it tend to change as you kind of develop and go through?
For a certain obstacle, or
any element of it?
I don't know. I mean, I think the horses that I've always had, the dressage is actually quite tricky to I don't know, it's weird because I say like the ease of handling round is like dressage round obstacles, but it's a lot more functional, and the dressage part of it has become a little bit more dressagey. So whether it used to be, so when I first started doing it, the dressage test was walk and canter only, and then I can't remember how long ago it was now, but with the more and more countries that do it, they ended up changing the test, and they put a trot in it, and then it had a little bit more of a dressage feel sort of thing.
Can I just pause? Is that the difference in? Is that the little split from Doma Vaquera then?
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking? Because that's all walk and canter, isn't it?
Yes.
No trot in that.
Yeah.
Okay,
it was a lot more like the Doma Vaquera before, whether as it's evolved, it has become a little bit more towards dressage. Not fully, because you have to be able to do all 3 or 4 phases. The cattle phase we don't always include because that's a team phase, whereas the 3 phases are the dressage, the ease of handling, the speed. That's individual thing. But to do well, you have to do well at all 3. So you can't just be like have your dressage horse do well in the dressage and then struggle in the obstacles. It has to be equal. You have to be good at all 3. So where like it's become a little bit more dressage, it's not fully. You can't just do well at the dressage and and then be weaker somewhere else, which is good, but the sort of horses that we used to do it with, they I mean, Iberians typically, they're not so much now, but their trot was always their weakest pace.
Yeah.
So once we started having that dressage, it was a bit more dressagey than it was a bit harder with those sorts of horses. But as I say, it's not the dressage isn't the sole focus. It is that sort of all round bit. Don't know why. I think I went off on a tangent there. I think I lost my own thoughts.
Yeah, no, it's easy to happen. I think we were talking about the element that you maybe struggle the most on. So you're saying that since the dressage element has gone a bit more like competition dressage, then the Iberian horses aren't looking quite as dressage as maybe a warm blood would be, and so that makes that element slightly harder.
Yeah. I think previously, with the sort of horses that I've had, but the horse that I have currently, he he's super, super talented. He's wicked. He's the best horse I've ever had. And he will go in at normal British dressage and he can thrash the warm bloods. He's absolutely
Great.
mega. So that bit's a bit easier. And I suppose difficulty, like, it depends on the horse. So the dressage is pretty easy on Mistral. He makes it feel easy. He's mega. The obstacles are really enjoyable. The speed is quite hard on him. So my previous competition horse, he was the fastest horse. He loves going flat out, absolute machine in the speed round. Entirely my fault because I've always loved the speed round.
Yeah.
I enjoy it so much. I always go give it some welly, and he knew that, and it was always a little bit borderline control
Yeah.
with him. He loved it so much, and I had to be really efficient at the obstacles because he wanted to get it done and he wanted to go. So it was good because I it made me be very efficient, and you couldn't fanny around with him. Like he was an absolute beast.
He wasn't going to wait for you.
No, I think I got whiplash half the time. Like he knew as soon as we were done that obstacle, he was off, and I'd be like, "Hey!" So, but he and it was so funny. Sometimes, like, people watching me do a speed run, especially my mum and my trainer and stuff, they just couldn't watch. They were like, "Oh my god!" He did absolutely love it. But I promised myself with Mistral that I wasn't going to. We always joke that when you get in the speed round, you hear that music and the bell, and then the red mist descends, and like you want to win, you want to go fast and stuff. And I promised myself that I wasn't going to do that with Mistral because in the end with the Sparta, he loved it, but like there was no going slowly on a Sparta. He was giving it full welly, and I was like,
so did that really mess up your ease of handling class then?
Not as much as you think, because he knew what round he was in. He knew if he knew he was in an ease of handling round, and he knew when he was in a speed round. So he was very good in that respect. That he wasn't trying to go flat out in the middle of my ease of handling round, but it just like I could never give him to anyone else to compete because I'd just be petrified sending him in a speed round on him. And it's just, I mean, Sparta, he, as trainers, like he's got all my mistakes, all my good bits, all my mistakes and everything. And with Mistral, it's taught me that I can't do that and just go full welly all the time. So I've always had to, because he doesn't know so much that if I went fast in a speed round, the next ease of handling round's a little bit hot because he's done it
anticipating it.
So I've had to gradually build up the speed.
And what sort of time frame are you talking then to do that? Because I know what those horses' brains are like.
So Mistral's 10, and I've had him since he was 5, and he moved up to advance the year before last, sort of middle of the season. We moved up to the advanced level, and I would only occasionally let him out a little bit and go quicker, but not all the time, and never like full. But I've come out this season like, right now we're more ready. He's a lot more together, and he knows what round we're doing, and he can go and come back calmly, because that was the thing. When you do a speed round, it's not just about going flat out. because you have to go and then you have to come back and do something calmly, the sideways pole or the gate. They've got to be calm for it. And with those type of horses, and like a Sparta, once you went, keeping that sort of control to them to be relaxed to do some of the slower obstacles, it's hard. You don't want to blow them, and it's, you know, you don't want that sort of tension. You know, you want them to enjoy it. So yeah, so he's 10 years old, and we proper gave it some welly at the last one. But he's now at that stage where he can really go, really come back and be really calm and focused on the job.
It's that kind of mental balance, isn't it, that you're looking for?
Yeah.
Being able to ramp up and then come straight back to you and not be jigging.
Because the last thing you want is to go flat out. No, none of us, you know, when we're doing a speed round, you don't want to be going, you know, go really big canter or gallop and then be yanking their teeth out to bring back for an obstacle. That's not what we want at all. It's not for the sport, not for the horses. You know, that is not what it's about at all. So, you know, even Esparta, even though he enjoyed it, he knew the obstacles, he knew he came back. It was just, I had to be on the ball to get on with things. But no, definitely not that sort of going flat out and then yanking their teeth out. It's off the seat. It's you off your voice, you know, off the aids that you've given, not pulling them out. That's not at all.
But I think we see it in all competitions, don't we? Like, I know a lot of top level eventers they'll go to events, but they're happy to come in way down the list because they want to go slow around the course.
Yeah.
Exactly, so that the horse doesn't anticipate absolutely flying around it every single time, because you need to be able to bring them back for it. Yeah. Show jumper is the same. You see the ones going around that are never held back and never, because they're just absolutely dragging the person from one fence to the next, and you lose that element of control. So if you need an extra stride or to rebalance, you're kind of gone. But
it's not good for anyone. It's not good for the horse. It's not good for the sport. It's not, you know, you want to sell that horse to someone, but what's that person? If you've got that horse that's not in control and you sell that on to someone that's not as good a rider, that's just, it's not the best thing. You know, what they're going to do, just put a stronger bit on because they can't hold it. You know, it's our
normally what happens, isn't it?
As trainers to think about not only what's best for the horse, but producing horses that are, if they were to be sold, thankfully Sparta will never leave me.
You've made that decision.
never leave me. But you know, I think it's a duty as trainers that you, and to the horses and to the horses, but it works both, because if you were to sell that horse, or, you know, at least I think it's the best thing that you can do for the horse is that they are light and that they're going to have a nice life because you've trained them well.
Preach. Yeah, absolutely. You brought up bits a second ago.
What's that?
You were talking about bits. We just sort of said about putting a stronger bit in. So I presume your horses kind of level up through the bits as their education goes.
Yeah.
So do you compete in a double bridle or a pelham at any stage, like with two reins, or is it always on a?
So for the working equitation, we for the highest level, it has to be in a pelham or like a Weymouth. So at the moment, Mistral's in a Weymouth bit, because we only ride with the one rein on the bottom rein of the pelham. And that's how it is in the rules. And that's only for advanced level. So for working equitation in this country, we're a lot more open about bitting. There isn't such that sort of like you have to be It has to be a snaffle or a double bridle that you have in dressage sort of thing. There's a lot more variety in what you can put them in. But for the advanced level, which is under the WOWE, which is the governing body for working equitation worldwide, because we're riding with just the one rein, we're riding one-handed, it's sort of made the most sense, if you like.
You need that different leverage, don't you?
Yeah.
So what's your go-to? Do you normally start with a snaffle for a couple of years and then move on to a palin?
Yeah. So young horses will be in a snaffle, and luckily I've got loads of, you sort of accumulate bits, don't you? So I've got that bit box for what suits them. But I mean, to be honest, I'm not, they'll go into a pelham or they'll go into something else. I'm not opposed to putting stronger bits in, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not opposed to it. I don't think it's just the answer, but I believe that because sometimes when I say a stronger bit, it's not actually stronger, it's just different pressures. So with pelhams and stuff, they might move up into a pelham a little bit sooner, not babies, not like 4 or 5, but like maybe it's sort of 6 or something. They might move up to a pelham, and often that's it's because Iberian horses quite like curb pressure rather than other pressures. So when I put a pelham on, it's because it's because they need different pressure rather than what the snaffle is giving or whatever.
So the snaffle it's lateral, isn't it? It's left and right, whereas the pelham's much more vertical.
Yeah.
So would you want the horse pretty good left and right before you moved on to something vertical, or?
Yeah. But I mean, I think I'm not rigid in sort of like that they have to be in this or they have to be in that. I like playing around a little bit to see what different horses like, what different pressures they like, different bits, and I've got, because I have a lot of Iberians, or I've trained a lot of Iberians, I've got certain bits that I particularly like that work for the majority of Iberian horses that I've had and stuff like that. But
do you find it can be quite mouthy? Like, do you find their anxiety comes out through their mouth, their tension comes out through their mouth?
Yeah, it's super, super common.
Yeah.
But you can't just strap them shut.
Why not? Yeah, get a flash on it.
Yeah, don't just put a flash on it. No. But they're telling you something very often, that it's that they've got that weakness in the body somewhere. So you have to because with Iberians, yeah, you're right, that it's a super common thing that it comes out through the mouth, that they're quite mouthy, and you can do change the bits around a little bit, which can help a little bit. But actually, most of the time, they've got a little bit of weakness in the body that you need to train through, and you can use that mouthiness to show they're just telling you it's feedback. It's feedback that things need improving.
I'm so glad you said that. Yeah, because I think people see a horse being mouthy and the tongue lolling about as some reason they think it's an issue with the bit.
Yeah. So and
it's not.
No.
It's they're literally talking to you. They're telling you they're struggling with something, or they don't understand, or they're a little bit worried, and changing the bit's not going to change how they feel about it.
And it doesn't need covering up, and it doesn't need to be a bad thing either.
No.
It's just they're just telling you that something needs work, or
Yeah, and it's improving. Not even that you necessarily need to change what you're doing. They're just telling you that's difficult, or this worries me, or
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really nice to hear you say that. Because I think there's so much misinformation about bits, and I can't pretend to be any expert in it, which is partly why I wanted to pick your
Mm.
brains over it. Because, but the most issues with bits that I see is too high in the mouth,
Mm-hmm.
so the horse doesn't actually get a chance to just pick it up and hold it, and to just not understanding what the bit pressure actually means because people have too much contact all the time, or they don't know how to follow it to give a release. Instead, they kind of brace against it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's a bit of a minefield, but
And there's
that's
so many now as well. Like, just it's unreal, isn't it? Like, where do you even start?
I try and go as simple as possible.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You need
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that breaks in the middle that goes left and right, and they can understand that. Then you're on to something. Um, So I know we're kind of jumping about a little bit, but there was a question I wanted to ask you about the speed round
Mm-hmm.
and kind of how it's marked.
It's not marked. It's just
Okay.
it's against the clock.
So what if you mess an obstacle up?
So, you get seconds added for hitting things or touching things, knocking things. You get like 10 seconds added for knocking things. So it
Okay.
has to be a clean test. So it's as fast as you can. So it's timed. But then you get penalties for knocking things.
Hmm.
You get a bonus. So we have the obstacle with the like where you're carrying the pole and you skewer a ring off the
Yeah.
bull shaped thing. And if you get the ring, you have 5 seconds taken off your end time.
So do people miss that all the time then? Because that is definitely one of the most tricky elements, I'm sure, when you're going flat out.
People, well, people get very much like they're gonna get the ring. And the trouble is when people are really trying to get the ring, they go really slowly. And when they go really slowly, the horse doesn't hold the straight line, so they're sort of wriggling around, and then the pole's doing this, and then you don't get it anyway. Whether it's
Yeah.
actually if they just went forward, and most
Just
of the
commit.
time you can get the ring if you have to have good technique with picking up the pole, the vara, and having it in position early, stabilizing, and forward is your friend most of the time because the more forward, the straighter the horse is, and often they're smoother. But like when people do it at trot and they're rising the trot, so they're rising and then the pole's doing this and things like that. I mean,
Yeah.
there's loads of little things like that. Like I often, when I'm teaching, when people have got the basics and the horse is comfortable with everything, they're like for the bull, they're doing walk and trot really easily. I'll have them cantering quite soon. Like, right, let's go for canter, because canter is often smoother than trot. But people get like, they're like, oh my God, I can't canter that. I can't canter with the pole. I'm like, yes, you can. And I put things like that in early-ish.
Yeah. Well, it makes the most sense because you can even almost stand up a little bit
Yeah.
and float through it. But I can see wanting to take it slow. But as you say, you're going to miss anyway, so you may as well try and hit it fast.
Yeah.
Save yourself the 5 seconds one way.
Yeah, they end up so wanting to get the ring, so they go really slowly, and they've wasted a lot more than 5 seconds trying to really stay slow and get the ring than if they'd have just gone quick. They'd have been quicker and not.
Yeah.
And they might get the ring, so great. They've gone quick and they're -5. But if they don't, they haven't wasted time. But there's tactics like that, there's all sorts of little places like that, learning to save time, not just going flat out. That's the thing. It's I always I always sound, if anyone see me do a speed round on a Sparta and then I tell them things like don't go fast, they just think I'm a hypocrite.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
And you know the weave
Yeah,
we
the
have to kind of
slalom.
go through slalom. Okay, is that what we call it? Obviously, in the ease of handling, from what I've seen, it's always the flying change is pretty much what you're looking for. Does that matter in the speed round, or does it just get through?
No. So
Just don't hit the
everything is, so you have, like, for the ease of handling, you have depending on the level, you have different sort of speeds, paces that you're in, and certain things that are required at each obstacle. So, like the slalom, at the lower levels, it's just done at trot. And you're looking for rhythm, balance, change of bend, that sort of thing, around the poles. At the higher levels, when you get into canter, it's with the flying change, and then it's marked at 10 like a dressage test. But in the speed, there is no marking. It is just how quickly you can get round each of the obstacles. So, like, for example, the walk and trot level, which is the lowest level, and the dressage and the ease of handling, everything's done at walk and trot. When you get to the speed, I get asked quite a lot, like, do I have to still stick at trot? I'm like, no, you canter.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay at walk and trot now. But there's a lot of rules for working equitation. We always joke that it's like 101 ways to get eliminated, because it's really complex, and there's a lot of rules, and how you do it but technical. It's technical.
Okay. And so is there something that, like, it's really common, is there one or two things that's really common that people get caught out with? Especially maybe early on when they were just starting?
Yeah, the biggest one is, so in show jumping, or jumping, you can't cross your line.
Mm-hmm.
We have similar to that you can't cross the line of an obstacle before you've done it. So, like the slalom, that's spread out. So it's 7 meters between each pole for the slalom. So there's gaps between it. And the bull, so the whole bull obstacle is a barrel with a pole in. So you pick up the pole from the barrel, you skewer the ring off the bull, and then you put the barrel back in another barrel. Now that's one obstacle, and that can be, 20 meters distance, sort of thing. It can be, or more than that sort of thing. So there's these massive gaps. So when you're learning your course, you can't go through obstacles to get to your next one. And it sounds silly.
Yeah, but you couldn't go between the bull and the barrel to get somewhere.
And when you're sort of, imagine you've got sort of 12, 14 obstacles in a course, and you've got to remember all of them, and you've got to plan how to get there so you don't cross between obstacles.
So was that an instant disqualification then? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it's the most annoying one.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you've done anything wrong, but and it is super common, because, you're in the middle of your course and you're concentrating on getting to your next obstacle, and you just don't see that you're going through a line. So do
you have a bit of a course walk beforehand then?
Yeah. So when we have a competition, we have half an hour to walk the course on foot before the next round starts. So yeah, you really have to learn the order of the obstacles and really plan your route so that you don't get caught out like that. But also it's something so when I teach people that are getting ready to compete, I won't let them cross through obstacles when they're training.
Yeah.
We'll sort of do combinations of obstacles, and they have to go around and find where they're going on the spot in the middle of a lesson. I'll be like, right, do these 3, show me your plan without crossing through anything else. And if they cross through an obstacle, I often go like, so they jump and go like, but it works. Like, if you train not to do it, you become a lot more aware about doing it. So I do that a lot for people that are competing.
Get the good habits in early. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So is there anything else that tends to catch people out?
So the sideways pole is quite a common one. So you go sideways over a pole, but if you've not taught your horse to move really well off the leg, and they don't really cross sideways, often you get things like they step forward and backwards over the pole. If you don't complete the whole sideways pole with the feet the right side of the pole, you get eliminated. But you have an option to restart. So at things like that, you get like 3 restarts. So if you went in for the side, and it's marked by like a zone, so you'll have like start finishes at the start and the end of the sideways pole. You go in through the start, you turn and you go sideways over the pole, and then you go out the flags to finish. And that's your sort of zone. If you go sideways, your horse tries to go forwards, you can go out and come in again and present sort of thing.
Okay.
So you get that at like each obstacle, like you get 3 refusals at the bridge, at the jump, things like that.
Right.
And
obviously that's just clocking up your time.
But then you're not, that's for the speed round, sure, but obviously ease of handling, it doesn't matter how long you take, sort of thing.
Okay.
It'll affect your mark. So if you have refusals, if you have restarts, then you're going to get a lower mark. And in the speed you get, it's more time, but more time is better than elimination.
Yeah. And I suppose as much as anything, you get to show your horse how to do it right.
Yeah, exactly. What else? Things like so when you start doing the bull a bit quicker, and you have to be careful how to put the Vara back in the end barrel, because if you're doing it at canter, it comes up quite quick, and there's certain techniques for getting it in the barrel well.
Yeah, because it's pretty long, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 2.5 meters.
Yeah.
And you can't just javelin it in, because if it bounces out or you knock the barrel over, you have to get off and you have to put it back up and things like that. There's a lot of things. You can't touch anything with your left hand. It has to be your right hand only. So whenever you take your hand off to do something.
What if you're left-handed? Can you do it the other way around?
No.
No. Okay.
Only because we train everyone to ride with the left hand and move the obstacles with the right, because setting up a course that fits for both left-handed and right-handed is a pain in the bottom. It's really hard to set up a course that suits.
So the lefties just have to conform.
They just have to get on with it. They just have to.
Okay.
They just have to train.
Okay, so I've got a couple of questions that I kind of intend on asking all the guests who come on. And one of them is, if there was one thing people with horses should do or stop doing, what would it be? It can go for anything. So it can be in regards to training, how we keep our horses, how we talk about our horses, whatever you want. If there's something you could change.
Something I could
what
change.
Would it be?
I get really annoyed with negativity, especially inside competition. People always focusing on negative things and being obsessed with scores. And coming out and going, well, this score wasn't as good as this one and stuff, and you just. And they've done a whole course and they concentrate on the one that went wrong and things like that. I'm always like, but what about the rest of the course? And does it matter what you scored? How do you feel it went? Was there an improvement? I wish people wouldn't put so much focus on scoring and judges and negativity and what other people think, because that just are especially when you're out around Iberian horses, they're so sensitive. Just your negative thoughts just make them anxious, and it shows up on the horses so much. and they just don't realize, and you're so conditioned to being like, well, that was rubbish, and I only got this for that, and that score, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, yeah, but, and then you make the whole experience uncomfortable for yourselves. Like, how about enjoying it? Like, what went well? Like, yeah, look at that.
It's supposed to be our hobby.
Yes, you're meant to be enjoying yourselves. Yeah,
that's a great answer, because I think actually it shows up in every single facet of horse life. It's everything from the atmosphere on the yard to, I think, even as coaches, it's very easy to just pick up on the things people are doing wrong and not praising the things that they're doing well.
Yeah.
Not that I'm sure you don't strike me as the type of coach that just says, yeah, you're doing great to everything. I think you probably pick people up on what's going wrong, but
I think that's interesting you say that, because I'm quite I do, but also I am quite like, yeah, good. And very often, you get people
just to making buzzer noises, I think maybe.
Like, I like making them jump, and then I like, doing something nice. No, I I don't want to just tell people they're good all the time, but actually, sometimes I'll have a bit be where like, yeah, good. And they're like, no, it wasn't. I was like, your attempt was good. Like, your effort, the horse that put an effort. Sometimes when you say good, it doesn't mean that was brilliant, but your effort that you put in, I could see you doing what I asked you to do. That I'm pleased with. Things like that. You don't have, it doesn't have to be like, yeah, that was good when it wasn't. But like, if you've put the effort in,
I'm sure you train the horses in a similar way. If you feel they've tried, that's good.
Like, well done. And trying to make it very positive.
I think it's very easy as well, because from what you said about the negative thing, I can see that. I'm sure we can all see that in ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've dealt with teaching combinations and stuff they were over the moon with having done 6 weeks ago is now old hat, and so now it's not good enough, and the expectation just keeps rising, and they don't see how far they've come. And
exactly,
I think that's a brilliant answer. So well done for coming up with that on the spot. So the other thing I wanted to ask was about learning resources. So is there like a book that is your Bible when it comes to training horses? Is there an online, is there a trainer that you follow? Is there a resource that you would recommend to people in terms of?
I just like going to, so I love reading, but not like for my job. Like, I just like fiction. But I like going and watching different things. And you've got so many resources online now to like pick things up. And I love just picking things from all different aspects, different trainers. I don't think it has to be a certain discipline. I think I like taking little bits from different things, and you just sort of see that, just seeing online videos, or going to clinics and watching and listening and demos, and I'm more that sort of person than a book person. My mum has read all the classical books and can quote from various old classical instructors and all that sort of thing. So she's always pulling stuff out like that. But I'm not that. I just like.
So I'm trying to be that, but it's heavy going. Like,
and I just find it needs more sort of. I'm more practical, and I like to try things and see if they work. And I love thinking outside the box with things. And when people come to me and say, "Well, I have this problem and that," and I love like puzzling out different ways and using from different disciplines and everything. You just sort of take little bits and like, oh, this might work, and that sort of thing. That's how I am, and just trying things out. So I'm more like that than like resources, but just like little online clips and stuff like that. But I don't know for that I can recommend anything. I just
No, that's absolutely fine. I think I learn quite a lot like that as well. I definitely find that I can learn more going to a clinic and watching than I think I would just taking part. Because you get to see 6 or 7 people's approaches to things, and that can kind of be sometimes more enlightening if you're just there with the horse. You're kind of
absolutely
single-minded on it. No, that's really good. So where can people find you? Where should they be looking for you if they want lessons or to go and see you at a demo or do a clinic with you?
So that lovely social media. I've got Facebook and Instagram. My yard has a Facebook page. It's Pine Lodge School of Classical Equitation. And then my partner Freddy Steele. So we have Steelehorse Instagram and Facebook account. That is more the sort of shows and that's shows that we go to and do together, some clinics.
So do you do like joint demonstrations and stuff then?
A lot, and we do like performances at county shows and stuff like that. He's more of a showman, but I get dragged along and end up having to do stuff as well.
So he does a bit of stunt riding and stuff like that, doesn't he? Yeah.
I don't do stunts, but I can, ride and do little bits. But I go and do that with him, and we've got a cow camp this weekend. So we're teaching, working with the cattle with not just for working equitation, but just for people to, as giving the horses function,
100%,
and just, good thing. So we've got cow camp this weekend together. And
where is that?
In Lincolnshire.
Okay.
So we've got that coming up. We do a couple of them.
Do they sell out pretty quickly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking they would. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's often like last minute spaces come up. You have people that drop out for whatever reason at the last minute very often. So
there's always someone goes lame, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. So there's often like a space will come up.
Okay.
Right close to it, sort of thing.
So keep an eye on it if you're keen then.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
But yeah, so various different sort of platforms, or accounts rather. So the Pine Lodge one is mine and Mum's, and the Steelehorse is mine and Freddy's.
And if people are particularly keen on maybe getting a start with working equitation, what should their first step be? Where do they start?
So the governing body in this country is the Association for British Working Equitation. If you go on the website, we have like list of instructors and where they are, so you can find your closest one, and if they've got local clinics and stuff like that, it's probably the best thing to sort of get into it and start off. Then you sort of learn the people and find who you like. That way sort of thing. But at least if you find your closest person, that's all listed on the website, and that has the list of competitions. So if you want to go and watch what it's all about, there's the list of competitions and where they are. And yeah, it just has a bit more about the sport there.
Okay, so that's like the one-stop shop for working equitation in this country.
Yeah.
All right, brilliant. Okay, well, we'll finish up there. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to stop the recording, but don't hang up yet.
Okay.
Okay. Because otherwise we risk losing it all. So
Oh no.
yeah, exactly. So I'll just hit stop. But
Okay.
thank you for coming on.
Thank you.